I can see you're just settling into your chair there, Dominic Raab. Sorry for coming to you a moment too early.
Right.
I'm glad you can hear me this morning. I'm not sure, you probably won't have caught what Richard was saying there. But just to be clear, of course, we've got this, very important drive for everybody to get their COVID booster jabs. But just 415,000 people as of 5 p.m. last night had secured slots of around 20 million people who are eligible. There was 127,000 people stuck on waiting line.
I'm already on the show. Sorry. I'm getting talked to by your producer in my ear just as I'm listening to your question. Forgive me.
No, you forgive me. We shouldn't be talking to you in your ear as I'm talking to you. I hope you can hear me. The question,
loud and clear.
the question this morning, Dominic Raab, is that there is, stories of the NHS being overwhelmed by millions of people trying to get these jabs. And where was the infrastructure? We've had Omicron in South Africa for a month, and as day follows night, we know whatever happens either in Europe or in South Africa eventually comes here. We've known that's one thing we have learned. Why a month ago wasn't the government thinking, hang on a minute, we might need an army of volunteers, and why not get prepared?
We've done everything we can to ramp up the operation. I think there's been a challenge of gleaning, and we still have rather sketchy, definitive evidence around the impact of Omicron. But what we do know is two things. First of all, it spreads more rapidly than the other variants that we've seen. Second of all, if you get your third jab, your booster, you're 70% protected against it. So that's a huge level of extra protection. In terms of the logistics and the challenges, previously we've been saying that come and book your booster online if you're over 30. But of course, as we've announced the new approach, a lot of people have come forward. That's good news. And from Wednesday, anyone over 18 will be able to book online.
But how is it good? Sorry, I appreciate what you're saying, and that is the same message that the Prime Minister gave. But the situation this morning, and you know this, and we've seen from Richard, I think we can still take pictures possibly from outside St Thomas's. There are queues of people, and we've had GPs saying that there just isn't this infrastructure around. People are trying to volunteer. Those volunteers are being told that they're not needed. I'm going to tell you something that a member of the public tweeted in this morning, a lady called Jen. She said he, meaning Boris Johnson, knew this was going to happen and did nothing for the past month since Omicron has been up and running. All this should have been set up and ready to go when required. Instead, he made a slapdash statement, didn't even bother to tell the NHS what was happening, all to try and save his own skin.
Well, respectfully, that's not right. And what we have been trying to glean, and we've only got recently, is and this is the critical fact, is that the third jab, the booster, gives you that 70% protection. And therefore, of course, that has put rocket boosters under the vaccine booster campaign. And yes, there's a logistical challenge with it, whether it's online, but we are getting more volunteers coming through. They need to be allocated to the places where they're needed, along with the brilliant work that the NHS staff are doing, along with, I think it's over 200 members of the military. The online systems are being refined, boosted to be able to deal with this, and we would encourage people to come forward. But look, and we've done better than any country in Europe, both in overall terms of the vaccines, but also in terms of rollout of the booster. We're at 41%. So now the big challenge is to get as many adults boosted as possible, and we know that will provide a strong measure of resilience and mitigation against Omicron as we find out more facts about its impact.
The thing is, Dominic Raab, it looks like yet again this government does not have a plan. It's just words, it's messages, it's sound bites, go and get boosted, get Brexit done, all these slogans without a plan. We've seen this throughout the pandemic. Proven again this morning. We've heard you've done 2 interviews this morning. You were asked a simple question: how many people are in hospital? You told Sky News 250 people. You told BBC Breakfast 9. If you don't know the actual basics, how can we respond to it? Do you want to give us a figure? We've got a third opportunity to tell us now. How many people lie in hospital with Omicron at the moment?
So it's 10 at the moment. One has passed.
Right. So you've given 3 different numbers on 3 different national news shows to the population.
I understand you like ranting at your politicians in the morning, but can I answer the question? Because it's a fair challenge and I want to answer it. First of all, I misheard one of the questions around whether it was hospitalisations of Omicron-related patients or generally, but the figures are 1 death from Omicron, 10 in hospital, and I can tell you that the latest daily hospitalisations run at 900. You said that we didn't have a plan. We do have a plan. It involves 2 things. First of all, getting as many people over 18 boosted with the vaccine, because that gives them 70%, at least 70% protection from Omicron. At the same time, as we buy ourselves some time, as this the Omicron variant is transmitting so rapidly, we've introduced some Plan B of a limited set of measures: masks, working from home if you can, the COVID passes in particularly crowded indoor or outdoor venues. That is the plan.
Okay.
Twofold: vaccine booster rollout and the Plan B in relation to the social measures.
Okay. Now listen, forgive me if you think I'm ranting. It's passionate, Mr. Raab, because some of us have lost relatives during this pandemic. 140,000 plus people have died during this pandemic, and some of us are very passionate about it. So forgive me if I choose to rant at times. Now, can you please clarify another figure? It's really important to get so we can work out what the gravity of the situation is at the moment. It's important we get the facts right. How many people have died in hospitals of Omicron right now?
My understanding is that the number of deaths from Omicron is only 1. So the challenge we've got with this, and I can understand why people are asking this question, is you've got a variant which is spreading so rapidly. And what we fear is that as the spread, inevitably, even if it's less severe, because of the pace of the spread, if even a smaller fraction of those getting Omicron end up in hospital and then die, you're still looking at large numbers overall. And the truth is, we're still gleaning the full facts about how Omicron, how damaging it is. So in the meantime, the best protections, what we know, is that if we boost people's vaccination with that extra third jab, they get 70% protection. That's a strong level of protection by international standards in any event, and overall. Secondly, we want to just limit, in a moderate, targeted way, the amount of mixing in particularly crowded settings. Those are the two things that we're doing.
This person has died of Omicron. Very sad news. Is it of Omicron, so cause of Omicron, or with Omicron, and the cause of death is something else? That's quite important.
I think that's been a challenge to demonstrate the if you like, the primary cause of death, as opposed to people that die of, and a lot of the people that have suffered from coronavirus, and I'm sure it's the same with Omicron, being elderly people with multiple conditions. I think if you listen to the practitioners, it is often very difficult on a death certificate to say definitively what someone died of if they have multiple conditions. But we know that my understanding is one person with Omicron has died in hospital.
Is there enough supply of lateral flow tests in the country? Because as of today, all close contacts of those who have had a positive COVID test will be required to undertake daily tests. Now, yesterday, stocks ran out of lateral flow tests at thousands of pharmacies. It's another situation where a rule is brought in, but the infrastructure and the resources don't appear to be there, which doesn't smack of excellent leadership.
Well, so first of all, we've got the number of lateral flow tests we need, but the allocation and delivery of them has been the challenge. We're addressing that in the online ordering system, but we're also making sure that pharmacies are as well stocked as we can be. But let's also recognise that we're adapting as quickly as we can to what we're learning day by day in relation to a new and potentially pernicious variant of the virus. And that is a challenge of dealing with a pandemic, but we're doing everything we can.
And I suppose what's delightful for you is that we are talking about this and not the possibility that the government has been breaking its own COVID rules with illegal parties. And I suppose for some people, and it's been said on this programme this morning, that that was possibly behind the purpose of that national address by Boris Johnson to deflect.
I don't think that's right at all. I think that's a level of cynicism which is unwarranted. The reality is that none of us want to see the Omicron variant spreading, and we're taking the measures in real time that we should do. And frankly, if he delayed giving that statement for all the reasons that you've just gone over with me in this interview, you'd be criticising me from the other side of this debate for not acting quickly enough. So I recognise that there's an element to which we'll get the Goldilocks critique of going too hot, too cold, too fast, too slow. But what we're trying to do is adjust to the real events on the ground in relation to this pandemic with the Omicron variant. People should come forward and have those boosters. And yes, we're going to make sure the capacity and the delivery is there. And at the same time, we're bringing in a proportionate set of measures to try and stem the flow of this very rapid spreading variant with the measures we're taking in the House of Commons today.
OK, we'll have to leave it there. Dominic Raab, thank you so much for joining us on the programme this morning.
Thank you.